Oh, it's a nice one, guys. Today we are talking clubhead speed with the driver and how you can squeeze a few more miles an hour with just 3 simple changes. It may be that you are swinging at 90 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, 100 plus miles an hour, but just by doing these 3 things, we're going to try and get a few more miles per hour for you. I've got 113 to beat in this lesson. Let's get stuck into it. Remember as well, guys, if you want other lessons not on driver, there are plenty on the channel. Subscribe down below for free and leave us a comment on something that you're working on and we will get to that in the future. Guys, let's get stuck back into this lesson. So as I say, we're trying in this lesson to get you a few more yards. I had one of my lessons come in the other day, Robert, who is an average golfer. He's getting on in years, but he's seeing that diminish in his yardage off the tee. He's starting to see that it's creeping down a little bit, and we sort of said, well, have we done anything to try and get this a little bit quicker? Obviously age is going to be a factor. We'll all get a little less flexible, we get a little less stronger, but even if we can just sort of cheat the system and do a few things that could help us get 1 or 2 yards, that might add 5-10 yards, and that could mean going in with 1 less club. And these 3 things today, whether, like I say, you are a beginner, whether you're an intermediate golfer, whether you're swinging it at 50 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour, just by doing these, they're sort of good checkpoints that if you get them right, they are factors that will help you increase your speed. Now the first one is all to do with the width of our golf swing. I've got this little head cover in my hand, pom-pom sock in the bottom of it there. And just a good analogy for us here, and also a good demonstration, is to just show what width can do to speed. If I grip it sort of halfway down the sock here and start spinning it, we can see it's starting to get some speed, and I'm trying to spin it as fast as I can here, and I'm reaching sort of the maximum I can. If I go up to the top of the sock now and hold it here and do very much the same thing by trying to swing it the maximum that I can, all of a sudden we can see it's starting to get faster and faster and faster and faster just by increasing the width of the arc. And that's the same in our golf swings. If we can just add a little bit more width into our arc, it means that the club head is going to travel a little bit further, which means that as it's coming back to the golf ball, it's got more time to generate more speed. And one of the things that Robert was saying to me was that as he's got older, he sort of felt that not only in his golf swing, but in his general everyday posture in life, he feels that he's got a little bit smaller. He feels that his shoulders are rounding in. He's starting to sag a little bit. He feels that he's generally going down, he's not going up. So real simple, all we tried to do was say, right, okay, well let's try and find a little bit of width. Let's find a little bit of juvenile rejuvenation back into your golf swing. Let's find that sort of young feeling that we want to try and create some width. And a real good starting point was the setup, but we'll get to what we did in a second. But just as you address the driver now, just have a little check. And I'd always advocate setting a little station up when you are practicing is a good way to sort of guide you where you are parallel and where the ball position is. But are you feeling rounded? Do you feel a little bit shrunk? Are you sort of thinking, well, I'm not hitting it far? And especially here in England, as winter sets in, we all get a little bit colder and we sort of start to huddle together a little bit to try and save warmth. But when we're out in the sunshine and we're feeling good, the shoulders are back. And we've got to try and feel that every time we get the driver out. How are we making the most of the frame that we've been given, or are we going down into it? So just check that quickly for me. But then, once we get into our golf swing, how are we going to create more width? Well, if we think of our hands, and here, the left shoulder, the left armpit, that's the furthest point that golf club can be away from my body there. Now, if I go back and I feel like I'm stretching this point, I'm not getting too detached obviously, but I feel like I'm creating some stretch in this position from hands to club head here, and I'm not taking it in quickly and letting this space decrease, that club head, I can nearly touch it here. If I straighten out, it gets quite a far away from me. I've just gained some width, so that means I should be able to gain some speed on the way down. So real simple for me. in your driving range sessions, on the golf course, even in a practice swing, make sure we've got that good setup, make sure we've made the most of our frame, and let's see that we feel up to the top we've got the most that we can. You might only swing the golf club to here, that's fine. It's better than this. You can get it out here and feel that you've created some stretch from that lead hand to that lead armpit. That's absolutely fine. What we're trying to avoid is narrowing that gap as we go back, doing it this way. I see a lot of seniors getting into this position when they come in for lessons. Let's stretch it. Even if you only get the club head back here and your hands to there, that club head has travelled further. So simply gain a little bit of width, and let's see if we can gain a little bit of speed through that. A little bit of a toey strike, but it felt a little bit quicker and it felt a little bit more stretch for me. The numbers will tell us in just 1 second if that is the case, or do I need the other factors to help me along that journey. 114, we've already gained a mile per hour. Now for me, if I get anything over 115, we are cooking on gas. Now the second thing that's going to help us gain a little bit of speed, and we've seen this now through the use of force plates and launch monitors and things, and how we measure the golf swing a lot more nowadays, but we can sort of attest to this just through weightlifters and things like that, is how we're using the ground. And a lot of the time, and I'm guilty for this myself with irons particularly, we don't use the legs enough. We just sort of see them as the bit that holds the top of the body up, and we're going to swing the golf club with our arms, and these old things are just there to keep us on our feet and keep us from falling and getting on the ground. Not the case. We've got that good setup, we're creating some width. What I want to do now, and what I was saying to Robert, well, the feeling I want you to try and create as you're going through your golf swing is that in the backswing, you almost feel that you're twisting this back foot, so the right foot, the right-handed golfer, feel that you're almost twisting it into the ground. You're really getting solid and you're driving down into that ground, because what we need to do, what goes down must come up. And as we go through the golf swing, if I feel like I twist down and fairly screw this back foot into the ground in my backswing, as I come through in my downswing, what I can do now is use my feet to push the legs and push out. And as I do this, it's almost like a catapult mechanism. I've created some width, I've loaded the legs, and I can throw the club from this point with my legs down at the golf ball a little bit quicker. Instead of being someone who gets a little bit lazy, like I do with irons, and get nothing really happening, we've got to use the legs and use the ground to help us garner some speed. So a few practice swings for me. Just feel that up to the top, you feel like you've really loaded that trail foot. You're squeezing it down into the ground. Imagine that you're working those spikes into the ground as you're going through. And then on the way down, you're pushing and you're almost jumping into impact as you're going through. It might just be a little feeling for you. Like I say, if you're a senior golfer, it might just feel a little bit more jumpy as we go through it, but that's good. It shows us that we're starting to use the ground a little bit more. So we create our good setup, we've got width, and now we're going to feel that as we're going through, I'm going to really use that right foot, and you'll see this from a lot of long drive people. We see lots of movement and not being completely static before their golf swings. So I'm going to use that ground this time. I'm going to screw it to jump up through the ball. Let's see if we can get over that 115 mark for me. Come on. Oh, tell you what, getting a little bit of a sweat on, but I'm starting to feel like I'm gaining some speed as I'm going through these shots. Let's see if we've gained any more clubhead speed. 114.69 to beat 116.52. We're at a personal best here. If we can get over this, the tips are perfect. And the third and final thing that is going to help us get a little bit more speed from our golf swing is when we use our speed, when we release the club head, because a lot of golfers suffer with this. And the fastest part of their golf swing is generally up at the top half of the downswing. So we get up to the backswing and we're quick to throw it. We want to get that club head as quickly as we can back down to the golf ball, and by doing that we forego all the width we've created. We don't use the ground in the right manner or in the right sequence, and by the time I actually get down to the golf ball, I've not got the speed I wanted. Real simple drill you can do with a towel. Why don't you just place your club down for me. You're going to get a towel like so, you're going to fold it in half. And here, and this Robert struggled with this one a little bit because he was very much in the camp of throwing the club head from the top, and it took a few practice swings and a few understandings to get a feeling of, oh right, okay, well that's when I let it go. And how I described it to him was that we're going to release the club head in the bottom half of the golf swing as opposed to the top half of the golf swing, and to show him that, this is what we did. I want you to take your grip on the towel as normal. You're going to swing up and try and create the backswing that you would want to, but what you want to try and do is feel that this towel is going to sit onto that trail arm here. Don't want it down this way, it won't work if you're doing that. We want to try and feel that it's sitting in this little gap here. So we're going to go up and we're going to get it sitting into that position. I feel loaded in that right foot. The first thing that a lot of people would do here is throw that towel quickly at the golf ball, and we see that it's now drooping down this way. Don't want that to happen. What I want you to do, up, get it resting. There we go. Now I want you to feel that you use your legs. See how it's still resting for me? See how it's still resting? And then when I get my hands to around about my belt height, I want us now to feel like I'm going to whip it through the golf ball. And it'll feel very quick and almost a bit of a shock as you start to do this, because at this point you've normally thrown the golf club, and that's when we start to see some chicken wings happening, and we're getting this separation and we're almost just dragging our hands and the club through. We're not letting it whip through. So up to the top, we come down and whip. Now, even if you do it right, the hand might come off a bit. Up, we're up. Use those legs, keep it on that trail arm, and then whip. What that allows me to do is release the club head at the bottom of the arc and at the right time, not too early, at the right time, and get that club head really fizzing through the bottom of your golf swing. Once you've done it, you can get rid of your towel, and I would just have some practice swings without the golf. Just feeling that you are up, legs, you're storing that energy, you're starting to work up through the ground, and then you can even hear the air swishing as I go through. Up, store it, use the legs, and through. Now this is the time where hopefully we will get above that 116.52. If I do, I think that's pretty much a personal best for me, so I will be very impressed. I'm creating my athletic setup with a little bit of width. I'm going to create that width up to the top. I'm in this trail foot, I've screwed it in, I'm jumping and I'm releasing at the right time. Let's see if that can get us over that number. Here we go. Oh, it felt good. It felt good. It looks longer as well. A little bit high. Did I get the number? 116.5 to beat, ladies and gentlemen. 118. The tips do work, so if you are like Robert, and like I say, whatever level of golfer you're at, try those three things. It might be one of them that helps you garner a little bit more speed with the big dog. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed that lesson. If you have, and you think it's going to help you, leave us a like. Remember to comment something that you're working on, and subscribe to the channel for more free lessons. 118, I'm going for a sit down.